Dear customers, I have been a locksmith for over 20 years with extensive experience in most types of locks and doors. I wanted to share with you some sensitive information that might end up saving you a ton of money down the road. Many of my clients come to me for lock installation after replacing doors in their homes or places of business, so here are some things you should know before making a decision with a door company. The new Florida law mandates that consumers upgrading their doors build doors with triple locking mechanisms. It depends on which mechanism was sold to you when you made the purchase as to whether the new, 3-point, mechanism is nice, safe, and beneficial, or if it can be a never-ending nightmare. Both mechanisms have a triple lock with a central middle lock and 2 additional locking rods, one in the lower half that either attaches to the floor directly or to a hole in the lowest part of the frame. There is also an upper one that connects to the upper portion of the frame. Mechanism 1 is not recommended. A mechanism in which the lock is locked and in addition 2 locking rods inside the door. One protrudes in the upper part of the door frame and the other protrudes when locked to the lower part of the frame. When the locking rods are physically connected to the central lock, thus every time the customer locks the door, they actually activate 3 locks together. It is important to know that most of the times after assembly it is soft and comfortable to use, but after a short time with the movements of the ground and the frame the operation becomes difficult and sometimes impossible. The bars are fixed inside the door but are connected to the central lock, so if you need to replace them in the future it will in most cases involve disassembling the door, which will be accompanied by a long working time and expensive costs. In addition, 90% of smart locks are unable to connect to this mechanism because it takes a lot of power to move this whole system. Mechanism 2 is recommended. A mechanism in which the lock is locked and in addition 2 locking rods inside the door. One protrudes in the upper part of the door frame and the other protrudes when locked to the lower part of the frame or directly to the concrete. When the locking rods are not physically connected to the lock and the customer decides when to lock them, and in professional parlance they are called flush bolts, the rods are fixed inside the door but are not connected to the central lock, so they are accessible and less expensive to replace if necessary. I have encountered innumerable instances over the years when the lock gets stuck because the locking rods are simply bent or severely corroded, making it impossible for the lock to operate. The only option in such a case is to cut the locking rods from the outside, which could cause the central lock and the locking rods irreparable harm. You shouldn't be lured to purchase doors with mechanism number 1 because they are usually more affordable. Understanding that something that seems inexpensive today will likely wind up costing a lot later on is crucial. It is important to make it clear to the door company that we wish to have the ability to replace locks that are bought at any regular store such as Home Depot or Amazon in the future without any problems. I should clarify that I do not sell doors, and everything I have stated in this piece is done so purely out of a desire to provide clients with critical information rather than out of personal motivation. For more information, feel free to contact me at 954-299-5900 or by email to browardlocksmithinc@gmail.com.